What's happening, Reds? It's Jamie Webster here. Just wanted to say, subscribe below. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Liverpool Connection podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dazza. Steve is back with us again, which is nice because the last one he wasn't with me, so great to have him back, especially after just having a end of season party for the Liverpool Supporters Club here in Austin, Texas. So a few of us have a bit of a headache because we're a lot older now. So too many bevies at night. But anyway, I am so chuffed. I'm privileged to have our next guest, absolute legend. Growing up for me, defo one of the players in the team that I loved. It was an amazing team in the late 70s, early 80s. So the Liverpool Connection podcast is absolutely chuffed, and I'll just say it right now, the legend, Sammy Lee.
Hey, Sammy.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Daz. Hi, everybody. The pleasure's all mine, folks. It really is. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no, defo. I think we started this podcast, to bring on guests to tell Liverpool stories. Did I ever think I would be basically talking to you one day, and I am, and I could go off and have a little cry now. Again, you're part of a childhood team for me that you just won everything. All the kids on my street either wanted to be John Barnes, you, Graham Souness, or Ian Rush. So defo privileged. I can understand him wanting to be John Barnes, Graham Souness, and Ian Rush, but I can't understand him wanting to be mates. I can't, honestly. There's a lot out there, mate. A lot out there. But what I want to delve
your word for it.
What I want to delve into is, when. This is before Liverpool. When did you start, really thinking I could become, a professional footballer?
It's a very good question, Daz. And I have to say to you, it's something that I find difficult to answer because it's something that I always wanted to do. And even when I was doing it, I wanted to be better at it. And I always felt that we underachieved. And that may sound a bit crass to you, but believe you me, and I don't mean to sound like that, but you were brought up at Liverpool Football Club and in Liverpool to never to take anything for granted. And really, it's quite strange. You do not really appreciate it until it's over, to be perfectly honest with you. So to that end, to your point, I found it difficult to turn around and say at any one point that I turn around and say that I wanted to be a professional footballer, because it's something that I always wanted to do. It's something that I always fought for, strove for. And I have to say to you, it's something that I always worked very, very hard to achieve. And even in doing so, I never really felt as if I'd achieved what I wanted to do, because I always wanted to be better with each and every day, with each and every training session, and with each and every game.
Well, I think that's something that, like Liverpool Football Club, the organisation and the fans kind of instill in you. Don't get too cocky. Because it could be gone. It could be gone in a second. And I think especially the fans make sure that you're grounded.
Very much so, Daz. And to be honest with you, to all your listeners, not only that, but my family make sure I was grounded. I consider myself very lucky to be born in Liverpool, brought up in Liverpool. And it's a Liverpool way of life where, you have a work ethic. Whatever the misconception is about Liverpool people, and there are many about Liverpool people, one thing which is instilled are values, respect, and a work ethic. And I think that's continued into the Liverpool Football Club. I think we all know that Bill Shankly started off, followed by Paisley, Fagan, Moran. And then the guy who's in charge now, Jurgen, who I think, for me, is up there, one of the best, alongside the Shanklys and Paisleys. And you know full well that these managers, their teams play in their image. And I have to say to you, every time a Liverpool team goes out on that park, it's in the image of Jurgen Klopp. And as I say, because you know what he brings to the table, it's respect, it's honesty, it's humility, and it's hard work. It's a massive work ethic. And the people of Liverpool demand that from you, and rightly so.
Yeah, so
You
obviously...
don't mind if I got a glass of wine, do you?
Oh, no. I wish I could, but it's a bit early.
Cheers, Sammy.
No. Right. Cheers. Cheers, Presidente. Hey, gracias.
Right.
So I'll bring in Steve now.
Hey, Sammy, it's an honor, like Dazo was saying, it's an honor to have you on. And you probably won't remember this, but I actually have met you. Southampton and Liverpool, they played. It was Jurgen's first home game, and you guys were staying at the loft. You were working with Southampton at the time. You came down the lift and into the lobby, and I was sitting there, and I saw you, but I was so embarrassed to speak to you because I was kind of wanted to be respectful that you're with Southampton at the time, and I didn't want to bother you and talk about Liverpool, and so that was. I regret that I didn't. Now, if I was to meet you now, I'd probably just go over there and give you a big old hug. And but
well, Steve, I wait for that. I wait for that day to happen. I'll wait for that day.
It'll happen. Yeah. And so I just remember that the team come down and you were in the lobby waiting, and I had spoken to the goalkeeper coach. I guess he was training the England team at the time as well. So we had a good chat. But I remember
Dave Watson. Dave Watson, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, afterwards, man, I cannot believe I didn't at least get a picture with you, but I will rectify that in the future. So,
please make sure you do, Steve. Make sure you do.
No, I always, we've been able to speak to a lot of legends. I played in a couple of legends matches, and I've always gravitated towards you because, we're similar in stature. We're kind of vertically challenged, but you boss the game, and not being the tallest person out there or the biggest, and you had the way you played. It's just I have this like kismet with you, that's the way I envision when I'm playing. Not being the tallest or biggest, but knowing the game, the angles, the touch, and so I would imagine when you're getting started and you're coming into that Liverpool team, you had to be a little bit better just because you weren't as big as some of the other players that you're playing with.
I've lost you there, Steve. Forgive me. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I was just I don't know if you heard my question, but
can you repeat that, please?
When you came into that Liverpool team, you'd have to, because you weren't one of the bigger players that had to, your touch had to be better, your vision had to be better.
Well, I don't know whether it was better, to be honest with you, Steve, but one thing's for sure is that one thing I learned from a very, very young age, that obviously I was, as you put it, so rightly put it, vertically challenged, and I was determined never to let that be an issue for me. It really wasn't. I mean, I have to say to you, I was very, very fortunate to work with a fantastic squad of players, group of players who helped me through every phase of my development. And believe you me, honestly, I never ever considered the size. But I'll repeat what I said before. Every day growing up in Liverpool, whether you're 6'4" or 5'4", you've got to make sure that you go out there and you give it your all, whatever you're doing. And for me, it was no different than football. And I have to say to you, for me, I didn't ever consider my size. Maybe other people did, but I certainly didn't, because, as I say to you, for me, the main thing was for me to try and be the best I could be, the best version I could be of myself on a daily basis. And I have to say to you, by going into the Liverpool Football Club, my size was never a question. And that's all respect to the powers that be at Liverpool Football Club. They seen the determination, they seen the honesty, they seen the humility in me, they seen the ability in me as well. But there's no way I could say it was better. But one thing's for sure is that my determination made it so that the size was never going to be an issue for me, Steve. It really wasn't.
You were able to be on some of the great Liverpool teams, winning so many honors. I think 14 trophies. Am I correct with that? Am I losing you again?
To me, Steve, you'll know better than me, mate.
Yeah. So I mean, just having all the honors in your
Yeah.
honors, great teams, and winning 2 European Cups. Maybe just talk about your experiences there in winning those. Obviously, we just got off the disappointment of Paris this last week, but the history of Liverpool is so strong with the European Cup, and just wanted to share some moments with you on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, you mate, the disappointment of last week in Paris, I can guarantee you that it's hurt everybody in the city, in the football club. But I can guarantee you also is that from the moment that game finished, they're now preparing for the next campaign, next season. And whether you'd have won the game, I can guarantee it, honestly, without a shadow of a doubt, that backroom staff, led by Jurgen, will say, we're fantastic, but now we have to prepare for the next one, whether you'd have won it or whether you've lost it. But one thing they will have done, they'll have learned, they'll take all the lessons from the defeats against Real Madrid, and they will use that to make sure that they improve and that doesn't happen again. But honestly, they won't forget it because you can't forget it, but they'll learn from it and they'll move on.
One of the stories coming out of the Champions League after the game is the situation with Sadio Mane. And I know that, coming from Southampton and you having the history there with Southampton, did you ever think that he would reach the heights that he has done with Liverpool, and now, seemingly he may be leaving to Bayern at this time?
Well, to be perfectly honest, I work with both him and Virgil and Kleiny, to be honest, at Southampton. And I could quite honestly say, you don't need to be a Philadelphia lawyer to see what the talent that them players possessed. And I think what has happened is they've gone to a fantastic football club. They've got a great coach. And I'll keep on saying this throughout the conversation. And if people get bored with it, that's their issue. But I have to say to you, I honestly believe that you could see the talent that them boys possess. And again, the attitude and determination that they possessed. And they wanted to get better. And this is no disrespect to Southampton, because we were a fantastic football club at the time with Ronald Koeman in charge and his brother Erwin. So it was a good scenario for them to be in. But you could sense that by going into a bigger club, a better club, playing with better players, being in better competitions on a regular basis, that they would never, ever let anybody down. Certainly wouldn't let themselves down. And I repeat, that's no disrespect to Southampton, far from it, because I've got nothing but respect for what Southampton have done and will continue to do. Terrifically well-run football club. But seriously, you could see that them guys, them players, were the world was their oyster. They could be as good as whatever they wanted to be. And I think they needed to challenge themselves. And I think everyone talks about wanting to be in the biggest competitions. Liverpool are always, hopefully going to be in the Champions League. And I think that's the biggest club scenario that you can test yourself on. And it's no surprise for me to see them doing so well at the top level. And please, I'm not trying to make out I'm any wiser than anybody else, but I repeat, it was obvious for all to see what talent they possessed.
As a coach, to me, it has to be, I don't want to say awkward, but a challenge knowing that you're developing players for them to be sold, right? And that's been kind of the modus operandi for Southampton for a lot of years, where you're developing players and selling them off to bigger pastures. Does that create a different challenge as a management staff when you're training?
Well, for me, to be honest with you, Steve, I have to say to you, I started off at Liverpool Reserves, was brought in by Graham. And what you're doing there, you're trying to help develop players to go on to bigger and better things, whether it be the first team or other clubs. Mm-hmm. And that's all I ever did. And it was no different than Southampton. And all I do is try and coach them, try and help them, try and listen to them. I don't think about the political elements of whether going to be there to get sold on to anybody else. All I ever try and do is give my best to make them the best they can be. I try not to get myself involved in a scenario whereby you know full well that they're going to be sold on for a lot of money. That's for other people to decide that. People who are more educated than I am at certain levels of the game. But for me, my approach has always been the same, Steve, and everybody out there, is to do the best I can to make them be the best they can.
You know, you've been involved with so many historical games with the club. Hey, if you would share some of your best memories of the biggest games, and you know, we do have a lot of new fans that come aboard since, you know, whether it be 2005, 2019, and Daz and I would just love to bring the history of the club back and have people learn. Maybe if you don't mind sharing some of your best memories of those biggest games.
Well, the biggest game, I mean, I keep on getting asked the question, which is the biggest. I've been very fortunate to be involved in a number of, you know, fantastic finals and league wins with Liverpool Football Club. But to be perfectly honest with you, the best one that springs to my mind, I always bring up, is my debut, my first game. It was against Leicester. I was a substitute. David Johnson got injured. There was only one substitute at the time. I got brought on. And I have to say to you, it was a dream come true for a young kid from Liverpool to get a chance to play for the team that I idolised from watching the Shankly days. And to be perfectly honest with you, it couldn't have gone any better for me because, as I said, I don't think anybody who ever knows me, I could not be described as being a prolific goal scorer in any way, shape or form. But I came on to that game. I actually scored my goal on my debut in front of the Kop. And I have to say to you, that for me is my most abiding memory, because there's a number of facets that come into it. As I said, I've never been a prolific goal scorer. I didn't really expect to get onto the pitch. To go and score in front of the Kop, wow. You know, and as I said before, if that game hadn't gone so well, what normally happens at Liverpool is that you don't really get many more chances after that. So I have to say to you, everything else after that was a byproduct of my first game. And again, I was helped by some fantastic individual players around me. Your Graham Souness of this will do. For me, chaps and everybody involved, for me, you guys was the main man in football for me, both in terms as a player and as a coach and as a guy. What a fantastic guy. And to be able to play alongside him, I got all the help and guidance and support that I needed from anybody on the football field.
You know, and I know Dazzle usually likes to take this question, but apologies to Dazzle. But, you know, we've had some of your contemporaries on our show before that grew up in Liverpool or from Liverpool area, and then they get signed by the club. And it's fascinating to hear there's the stories on how they got the word. So can you share with our viewers and listeners how you were approached by Liverpool and just the feeling that it must have been for you to be signed by the local club?
Yeah, and it's quite strange, folks, because to be honest, what happened was I played for the local representative side at primary level. But then when I went to senior school, I'm not sure what the grades are over there. Daz, you can maybe explain that to them. But when I got there, I actually went to a grammar school. And the grammar school, sadly, or fortunately, depending which way you want to look at it, didn't allow you to play for the city team. So I wasn't allowed to play for the city representative team. So for quite some years, certainly 5 years, I was, if you like, I was protected from the claws of football clubs, if you like. You know, and I've got to be honest here, when it came to finish my grammar school education, a man called Tom Saunders, who may be familiar to you all, but if he isn't, he should be. He should be, because he was one of the main men in the recruitment of Liverpool at the time. He was fantastic. And he invited, obviously, I played in finals from my grammar school. We had played a couple of finals at Melwood. But obviously, these people, they do the homework, the scouts, the analysis, the recruitment. So they knew of players who were out there, young players, whether they were in the so-called system or not. And they seen me playing in this final at Melwood. And they were terrific, because there was one other club who came in who remained nameless. And they promised me the earth, to be honest with you. But it's amazing. I had a meeting with Tom Saunders and Bob Paisley, and honestly, I was honest with them. They were honest with me. They said, Sammy, I mentioned the interest from another club, and they said, sorry, we can't offer you that. What we can offer you is the opportunity to develop your talents with the best people in the modern game at that time. We can give you the best facilities, the best preparation, the best environment to go and be the best you can be. And truthfully, folks, that sold it for me. Not that I needed selling it, but I have to be honest here, the club didn't need selling to me. But when I had that honesty, from them, and all they said, they gave me no promises whatsoever, apart from, as I say, the fact that you could be in a fantastic, positive learning environment to be the best you can be. That convinced me that there was no other, as if there was any doubt, which there wasn't, that there was no other club that I would ever think of going to at the time.
Yeah, I love that. Again, that's why I think a lot of the players back then, you're so humble, and that's what I really love. 81 final in Paris, you could have said, that was one of my favourite games, but then you say it's your debut, and I love it. And unlucky for Davy Johnson getting that, horrible, I think it was a knee injury. But, because I was going to say, what's your favourite goal? But I don't even need to ask you, because obviously it's got to be that. Which again.
Yeah, well, again. Sorry, Daz, to interrupt you. Forgive me, mate.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was saying, Paul Davy opens a door for you.
Yeah, well, you know the nature of the game. Yeah, I mean, David Johnson are very, very close. We're very close. He's a terrific guy. But what happens is in football, and particularly then, as I said before, there was only one sub. And I really, honestly, I didn't expect to get on because only one sub, and nobody at Liverpool Football Club wanted to get injured, because if you got injured in them days, there was always someone ready to step in and take your place. I didn't for 1 minute think that it was going to be me. I really didn't. Honestly, there must have been a few injuries in the squad then for me to get on the subs bench. But as you know, Davey did get injured, but he had more games after that as well, more fantastic appearances. And what happens with our team is that, and again, believe you me, although we're all contesting positions within the same team, although we all know that, we are all there to help each other, because we know full well that by the team doing well, basically as individuals, we all succeed as well. And that's the ethos at the Liverpool Football Club. It may sound glib to other people. If it does, then I make no apologies for that. But I think that's why Liverpool is quite a unique football club, to be perfectly frank with you.
Well, I know you had a really good partnership with Phil Neal. How was it with because Phil is the most decorated Liverpool player out there. How was it with them? Did he just make the game easier for you?
Well, I think not only Phil, but as I mentioned before, all that squad of players that I was fortunate to play with, they certainly made it easier for me. That being said, it was not easy. This football game of ours, even back in them days, was never easy. But if you're lucky to be playing with some talented players throughout the team, then it certainly makes it easier for you. And the good thing about people like Phil Neal, Phil Thompson, James Souness, what they do, they talk you through the game. And it's an amazing scenario at Liverpool Football Club, because if I can just share with you a little bit, people, it's on that camaraderie that the standing comes from, because a lot of people come to Liverpool trying to study the coaching methods back in them days, and they couldn't understand what they were looking at, because it was basically five-a-sides. And people, say, well, you're not being coached. Believe you me, we were being coached. We were being coached on a daily basis. And them little five-a-sides, all they are they're little portions of the game throughout the 11 side. So you're playing in little 40 by 20 areas. But that's just, once you expand that out into the 11v11, then basically all you do is take that understanding of that small-sided game into the big-sided game. And on a daily basis, folks, honestly, if I made a mistake, you'd get a few, rumblings, bollockings, as we call it. but also you get loads of encouragement and loads of knowledge and education and teaching of the players that you're playing with. And that's where my coaching came from being with these players on a daily basis. And I go back to what I said, I mentioned before, when Tom Saunders and Bob Paisley said, we'll give you the chance to be the best you can be by working with these best players. Now I knew exactly what they meant by that, because on a daily basis, I was learning my craft. I was doing my apprenticeship and I was improving on a daily basis with these guys. And honestly, every simple scenario that comes up in an 11v11 happens in a 5v5, just on a bigger scale. So when you came onto that great scale at Anfield, my debut, yes, I was nervous. There's not a shadow of a doubt. But because I spent so much time working with these guys, honing my craft, then to be honest, again, it doesn't sound arrogant, because of the help I was getting from the players alongside me, it was easier, but it was never easy. I hope that doesn't sound like a contradiction. I hope it doesn't.
No, that's what I love, because, like, quite a few fans don't really understand, and I don't understand this. They don't understand what Henderson brings to the team. But he's the captain. He's the talk.
Really?
There's loads out there. Yeah, there's loads out there. I think it's the FIFA generation, that play FIFA, that just don't understand what he brings. And that's why I brought him up, because, you talk about the talkers on the pitch. He's always talking to every single player. And I think when, we had the pandemic, well, still a pandemic, but when there was no fans and you could actually hear Hendo on the pitch having a go at everyone. And I think that makes a team better. There's some silent players that just don't talk, and we all know who those players are. But you need leaders on the pitch. And I've never understood, I wish these kids now could go and watch the games of the 70s, watch the games of the 80s, and actually, without any fan noise, and listen to the players on the pitch. It's bizarre to me, the amount of disrespect that man gets.
Well, Dad, forgive me. I personally do not understand that.
Yeah,
I really don't. And you mentioned FIFA. Well, listen, I have to say to you, I don't know any league titles, any Champions Leagues, any FA Cups that have been won on a video machine, as far as I'm aware of. Anyway, you know what I mean? I know there are e-games going on, and I understand all that, but I'm talking about the actuality of the physicality of the game. And I've also been in a number of clubs as a coach. I've also been in a lot of people, been involved with a lot of players who talk. Sometimes they talk just for talk's sake. Jordan Henderson doesn't do that. Jordan Henderson is a born leader. And for me, Jordan Henderson has blossomed, has matured into one of the best captains Liverpool Football Club have ever had and ever will have. And by the way, we've had some very, very good captains, some terrific captains. I think Jordan may have suffered a little bit, sadly, because, people still think of Stevie, and he's taken over Stevie's mantle and his position. And that's no disrespect to Stevie, far from it. Stevie Gerrard, I know, will give Jordan his blessing, because Jordan is one hell of a leader. And I don't understand the premise of the question, to be honest with you, Daz. And, I honestly don't think I could get involved with a conversation or an argument with people who are saying that, Jordan Henderson is not this, he's not that. All I would say to them, please, just look at his stats. Look at his stats. Look what he's done for Liverpool Football Club. Look what he's continuing to do for Liverpool Football Club. The guy is a born leader in very difficult times, by the way, very difficult times, because he's come through after a scenario where, as I say, Stevie left for whatever reason, and he knew he had to take that mantle up. And that's never going to be an easy mantle to follow Stevie Gerrard, captain of Liverpool Football Club. Far from it. But Jordan Henderson has proven to be, again, he'll rank up there with one of the best captains we have ever had. Stevie Gerrard is one of them as well, obviously. Graham Souness for me is the all-time. But we go back to Tommy Smith when I looked at him, and he was the one who I was brought up wanting to support. But this guy, you don't become a captain of Liverpool Football Club for as long as he's been and get the honours he's won by being mediocre or by not being a leader or just by being a talker. You don't get that at Liverpool Football Club. I know that it happens at other football clubs. Not Liverpool Football Club. You really don't. And please forgive me, I must stress, I just don't understand that comment, to be honest with you, Daz. And if people out there have got the disrespect for Jordan Henderson, well then, I have to say to you, I'm not too sure I really want to be in a discussion with them in a pub, because I love conversations in pubs, but I love logical conversations. And for me, that would never be a logical conversation. It would end up being an argument.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I've argued with too many people, but yeah, if you don't want to like listen to me, listen to the legend Sammy Lee. Come on, lads. You know, it's ridiculous, but it's one of those where I'm just gobsmacked by some of the absolute garbage that comes out of people's mouths sometimes. It's mind blowing, but no, Henderson deserves everything, that all the accolades that come to him. Like you said, with following Stevie G, got to be hard. You know, he was nearly let go at Liverpool as well, and he said, "Look, I'm going to do this. Pull up me socks, and I'm going to get the job done." And like you know, when he lifted that Premier League trophy, you know, I wish the fans were in the stadium, because he deserves everything. Everything.
Do you know what, Daz? Forgive me, Daz. That's another point for me to be on to bring up, because I have to say to you, that's why I said he won it in difficult circumstances. Because for me, I think Liverpool Football Club suffered more than any other football club, for the lack of fans in the stadium. Because you guys out there, you play such a massive part in what goes on at Liverpool Football Club. You're the 12th man, if you like, but you're more than that. Because to be honest, at times when you've got your back, you win every game by playing fantastic football. There's been times when they've struggled, and you guys have pulled us through. And that's once again one of the unique scenarios of a Liverpool fan and being a Liverpool player. And so for me, all I'll say to you, please, is that this guy brought them up to get this championship, you know, in very, very difficult circumstances. And I just don't get the lack of respect that you're saying is not being given to Jordan, because honestly, guys, he deserves all the respect you've got. He really does.
100%. Go on, Steve.
Yeah, Sammy, I wanted to ask you, because, you know, obviously you've been coaching for a long time now after your playing career. Was that something that you always wanted to do? Obviously, you know, we've spoken to some of your past teammates, you know, and they've gone into the media route, right, where they're analyzing their games and things like that. Is that what you've always wanted to do, to go into the managing aspect?
The coaching, well, to be honest with you, folks, with a face like this, I don't think I'm ever going to be on the media. Do you really? You know, so I think I have to take another route. But I have to say, it's something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm sure the guys have told you. You know, strangely enough, bizarrely enough, you think you're going to play forever. You think you're going to be able to play forever, and suddenly it starts to dawn on you that, you know, although your brain may be ticking the right speed, sadly your legs and your body's not moving at the right speed. So I realized very, very early on that for me to be able to stay in the game, the other avenue is coaching. You cannot replicate being a player. Nothing will ever replace that. But for me, the next best thing was to be involved with all these young guys, was to go into the coaching side of it. And again, I have to say to you, I'm to thank for that. I really have. He gave me the opportunity as a reserve team coach at Liverpool. But not only that. When I joined Liverpool as a coach, if I'm not mistaken, your coaching qualifications and your coaching badges were largely frowned upon. And Graham Souness, he said to me, I'll never forget, he pulled me to one side and he said, Sammy, he said, listen, he said, your job doesn't depend upon it, but, and as soon as I heard but, I started trembling, because I knew then, he said, but we certainly think it would help if you started on your coaching qualifications And you know what? Although it was very uncomfortable for me because I was stepping out of my comfort zone, really, it was the best thing I ever did. Getting involved in the coaching, getting involved in the coaching ladder, getting involved in the coaching fraternity, getting all my qualifications. It opened up a whole new world for me. And the term network comes in and all that. But basically, all that was down to Graham Souness. And it was a very strenuous time for me, very stressful time. Because as I say, that but, I kept on mentioning, but, I knew that if I failed my qualifications, which was never a guarantee at the time, getting your qualifications, it really wasn't. And I knew that if I got there, I had to get them. And I knew that once I did, then I'll be on that, if you like, that progressive ladder. Because honestly, and I'll stress to any young coach, be a sponge. Be a sponge. Go and listen to everybody. Go and attend every coaching clinic you can, every coaching session you can. Get on every seminar you can. In fact, it was strange because in the lockdown, the LMA, which is the League Managers Association, which I'm a member of, they were fantastic, and the webinars that they put on Zoom really was. And again, nothing replicates or beats actuality of being there. But they put on some fantastic webinars, Zoom. And again, to be honest, there was like one a month, minimum of one a month, and it was terrific. And I repeat, when Graham suggested that I went on and get my coaching qualifications, now, in retrospect, it was the best thing that I ever did. It really was.
I have a question for you. We're living in a time where Pep and Klopp are really considered the top two managers out there, right? With their systems, the way they manage players and their successes, obviously. You went from coaching at a club level, and then you went over with Sven-Goran Eriksson and helped coach the English national team. Now, having the experience of both of those, do you see a situation that those two managers, okay, never mind Pep. Do you see if Klopp would it be able to function in that type of scenario where he's a national team manager? Because he looks like he enjoys the day-to-day, right?
I think that's a rhetorical question, Steve, don't you? I think it's a very loaded question. I think we know where it's going. I have to say to you, a lot of it in our game is about timing, about timing. And I have to say to you, I was involved with the FA long before that. And it was the wrong time for me. It really was the wrong time for me because Sam Allardyce, who I've worked closely with since then, he's seen that. I was a young coach then, and he's seen that. And he asked me to be his assistant because he's seen that wasn't stimulating me enough because the day-to-day stimulates you. It really does. And particularly as a young coach, and he could see that I wasn't being stimulated by, the lack of day-to-day activity. And so thankfully he invited me to be his assistant. But to go back to what we're saying about the question, it's about timing. And I think at some point that scenario could appeal to the top managers. And you mentioned the top managers, you mentioned Pep, you mentioned Jurgen. You didn't mention Carlo Ancelotti because, again, going back to like some of the things about what Daz was saying about Jordan, that guy, for whatever reason, does not get the universal respect he deserves. He really doesn't, honestly. And it hurts me to say because he just inflicted defeat upon us. But the guy's a diamond. But there's a number of coaches, not just for him. We've got young Steve Cooper coming in the Premiership now. He's a fantastic coach. But I think it's about time, and I think at certain times in your life, I think when you've done the day-to-day, when you've done it, because it is 24/7, you look at what Jurgen puts into it, the energy he puts into it, and it's not just on the pitch, it's when he's doing his press conferences. I look at his press conferences, and for me, they're stimulating in themselves, his rhetoric, the way he talks, the passion, the tone, I have to keep that intensity level for 10, 11 months a year, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It's difficult. And I would imagine at some point in time, I can't speak for Jurgen. I don't want to speak for Jurgen because that'd be wrong. But I would say that at some point in time, once you've been involved in the day-to-day, once you've been involved in that intensity for such a long time at the highest level, then I would say that maybe the international scenario would appeal to you. And that's not to undermine the international scenario, far from it, because that in itself is a very, very stressful, it really is very, very stressful scenario, leading your national team to glory. But it would not be involved in the day-to-day, and that may just appeal to certain managers at certain times of their life. I can't say which managers that would be, but I think timing is everything, as I said before, and it certainly could appeal to certain managers.
It got me to thinking, because when Arsene Wenger left and Jose Mourinho, the conventional wisdom is the game has passed them by, right? Then you have the new coaches coming in with Eddie Howe and Nagelsmann. And how does a game pass you by? What is new? What's that the newer dynamic coaches, are they doing anything fundamentally different? You've been there. You've really bridged the gap of these generations. Do you see a fundamental change in the way coaching is happening?
I think there's a change of perception, Steve. There's a change of perception. Who's just won the Champions League?
That's a lot.
Exactly. What I used to have a big discussion, and please, I will not go digressing too much. I used to have this discussion in a lot of scenarios, webinars with the LMA and with the academy scenario when I was with Bolton. There's a perception and a misconception in my belief that old school is like dinosaur. People talk about old school as if like they're stuck in their old ways. They're not moving on. They're treading water. For me, old school is about having respect, values, and a work ethic, and that can exist in every generation. And for me, people quite often say, "Do I think the likes of Shankly would have succeeded in this day and age?" Well, I think he would, because you know what the best ones do for me, chaps. And I was involved with one of the most, to be honest, evolution, the characters I've ever been involved with Sam Allardyce. These people evolve. These people move with the times. Sam Allardyce at the time was ahead of his time, both in terms of sports science. The issue, obviously, with Sam is that he didn't work at the time with maybe the best players in Europe. But honestly, he's such a forward, innovative coach, true. And again, I repeat, for whatever reason, I'll have this argument with anybody. I won't argue with anybody over Jordan Henderson, because that for me is not an argument, does. But for me, when people talk about old school, it depresses me when people say it's because it has a negative connotation, and it shouldn't have. Because as I said to you before, old school for me is about respect, humility, honesty, and work ethic. And I think that applies to any walk of life, any generation.
Here.
I had one more question for you before I give it back to Daz. When you're on the sidelines and your team that you're with is playing against Liverpool, how do you separate those emotions?
To be honest, I tried it as a player, because I played against Southampton, and I crumbled. I completely crumbled. But when I went there as a coach, I was older, obviously. I was more mature. And to be honest, as I said before, when I go out in any scenario as a coach, I want to be the best I can be. And I want to work with the lads to make them the best they can be. Now, if that's against Liverpool, I may try a little bit harder, to be honest with you. I may try a bit harder to beat them, so if the truth be known, because as I said, listen, I love Liverpool. Everyone knows that. But my passion more than it is football. And I have to say to you, I want to continue in football. My life's football. And I want to be the best I can be, whichever team I'm with. I've just been very, very fortunate to be a coach at Liverpool, to be a coach at England, to be a coach at Everton, to be a coach at Crystal Palace, Southampton. I knew, Steve, I knew it was going there. But I have to say to you, honestly, it was one of them. And to be perfectly honest with you, I have to say to you, as a coach, it was one of our proudest achievements, because when Sam Allardyce took over at Everton, they were in 16th position, 16th. He finished 8th. And when I said before about my passion is football, it really is. But you know, my biggest passion, apart from my family, is this city, Liverpool. Mm-hmm. It really is. I've been fortunate to go away. As you're living over in other climes now, you know, different scenarios, different continents, but I still love Liverpool. And you know, Liverpool, seriously, folks, it needs 2 teams in the Premiership. And I know back in the day, Bill Shankly, rather tongue-in-cheek, said there are 2 great teams, Liverpool and Liverpool Reserves. Well, we get that, you know, but, you know, for me, one of the reasons why Liverpool is so unique is because in every family, when you're having dinner, on one side of the table can be red and on the other side of the table can be blue. And believe you me, as you may know this, that doesn't happen in it. As far as I'm aware of, it doesn't happen in any other derby rivalry in the world. It doesn't happen in Milan. It doesn't happen in Glasgow. It really doesn't. It doesn't, honestly. And it doesn't happen in Argentina. You know, so for me, to be part of a coaching staff that kept Everton in the Premiership, as I said, was one of the proudest achievements for me as a coach. It really was, honestly, because I repeat, my passion is this city, and this city needs 2 teams in the Premiership. It really does.
But Sammy, please tell me you wore a Liverpool shirt under that Everton tracky top.
Underpants. I wore Liverpool underpants. No, listen. At the end of the day, my heart was red. My heart was red, so we could never change that. You know what I mean? So
that's all that counts, right? No, it is like to me, like you know, only in Liverpool will you get a household where, you know, two of your relatives will be upstairs watching Everton while the other 2 are downstairs watching Liverpool. It's just the way it is. You know, everybody knows a family member that's a blue. They just do. They might not talk to him as much, but yeah, because my cousins are blues, and yeah, they're all right. I'll give it.
My best mate's a blue. My best mate's a blue, and I have to say to you, they couldn't be more proud of me when I'm playing for Liverpool Football Club or coaching Liverpool Football Club, and that's true friendship. That really is. But that's what I'm saying to you. That's why this city is unique, in my opinion, anyway.
I agreed, 100%. You know, even though part of me wanted them to get relegated, you know, there was that cheeky part that was just like, oh, I could give it me cousins now. But at the end of the day, you know, they stayed up. Fair play to them. You know, hats off.
But that's for me. I love being able to give it to my cousins or my best mates when we beat them twice a year in the Premiership. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's for me is better. You know,
it is. But want to ask you a little bit about that though. You know, because the rivalry has kind of changed to me. This whole horrible chanting is creeping into the derby. I've noticed the last probably 4 to 5 years, and it sickens me to hear other Scousers, you know, the murderer chants and all that. I don't understand why it's creeping back. Obviously, it's not just Everton either. We've had issues with City fans, United fans, Leicester fans, you know, where you know, our fans actually went to Leicester and pretty much stocked up their food banks. And you know, it's a disgusting part of football that I am not with.
I think it may be creeping into society, sadly. You know, it's just that what happens, as you know, is football is a microcosm of society, you know, and people see it more than that because of the profile. But I mean, listen, sadly, it's something that I don't want to say ignore, because you can't ignore it. But I'd rather promote the positive elements of it, you know. And I have to say to you, like what happened with Patrick Vieira the week coming after the pitch. Everton, we were shot there when he had the altercation with the young kid. But I don't know whether you noticed, there was 2 Everton supporters who led him away after that. You know, so you know, there's always there's an element in it in every society, every walk of life, every sport, every football club, every sporting club, and let's just keep them the smaller element. Let's just keep them the minor elements. Let's just keep them the minority. Let's not promote their aggression. Let's not promote their violence. Let's dumb it down. Let's stop them, because you know yourself. Sometimes when you give these guys publicity, that's all they want. They want the 2 minutes of notoriety. And I think we can't ignore it. I'm not saying ignore it, but I think more elements of our game rather than concentrate on these, because I'm walk life, guys. It really does, honestly. Again, I'm not saying ignore it, but if we can dumb it down, play it down, dampen it down, and not promote it, because again, I repeat, these guys just want their 1-2 minutes of notoriety. That'll do them.
Again, here. No, that's, you know, it is a sad part of society. But, you know, let's get back to the great footy. I mean, what a time. What a time to be a Red. Klopp and the lads have given us basically 4 or 5 years of just incredible football. And I couldn't be prouder to be a Red. And for all these new Reds, I'm just like, man, it took 30 years for Liverpool to win the league, and they're coming in, you know, they're starting their Liverpool journeys and they've already won all these trophies. I'm like, you little bastards. But I'm well happy for them, you know. I mean, what a time it is. Like, Klopp has changed the entire, like, from top to bottom. You know, he's brought in, you know, Mona Numa, who has just changed the whole dietary thing for the whole club. It's the right people, you know. And looking back on your career as well, and the managers that, you know, you've been through, the similarities of Shankly and Klopp are basically the same. Klopp just gets not just Liverpool Football Club, he gets the city of Liverpool, he gets Scousers.
Without a shadow of a doubt, you know. And again, I spoke about timing before, and now is the time. Now is Liverpool's time, because you've got Jurgen in charge, and I think one of the best signings Liverpool have made was getting him his contract renewed. Really was. And for me, as you said before, and I couldn't put it any better, and I say it all the time, is he gets the people of the city, mate. He gets the people of the city, and not just the Liverpoolians. You know, it's just, we're just lucky because we are Liverpoolians. But you know yourself. People in football respect him. People in football love him. And people, you know, Evertonians love him, although they won't admit it. They do love him because they see, again, what I said before, they see his honesty. He doesn't talk in sound bites. He doesn't talk in cliches. He tells you how it is. And I have got to be honest here. I think for me, you mentioned the young kids coming up today. Wow. And that's exactly what this football club needed this time, because maybe, just maybe, because there was a period of time where we were starved of success. Maybe we were losing some of the younger generation. Well, I tell you what, now he's just introduced a whole two new generations to Liverpool Football Club. And I have to say to you, not only should we be made up with that, but also the people of Fenway Sports should be made up with that. Because as I say to you, for me, he's woke up the sleeping giant again. He really has. Look at the stadium. The stadium, people talking about moving this, that. Look at the stadium it is. That's fantastic. It's going to be even better when they do the Anfield Road. I just tend to think he's the right man at the right time for the right club. And I think it's just the right fit for everybody at LFC. I really do.
And also, you have to give credit to FSG as well. I don't think they get the credit that they deserve, to be honest. You know, everyone says Klopp has rejuvenated this club, but so have they. They could have torn down Anfield. They could have gone to a mega stadium, you know, because the history was there, and they actually listened to Liverpool fans and were like, there's no way you can tear it down. I mean, that's a part of history. That's a part of Liverpool that you cannot take away from anyone. What's your take on FSG?
Well, again, I don't want to get political, as if you don't mind, because my place is on the grass. You know what I mean? But we're led by people by FSG, and all I'll say to you is that there were previous owners in. We know about that. And I agree totally with you, is that without criticizing anybody previous, that's for other people to do that. For me, I'll just concur what you said, is that all credit should be given, be given to FSG for what they've done. And I said, and what they've made a couple of mistakes. We know that. Going into this whatever league you want to call it, the Super, I don't know what they call it now. But I think what has happened is that they listen. They even sometimes own up to the mistakes. They correct the mistakes and they move on. And I would agree totally with again. I don't want to get involved with slaughtering, slating any previous owners. All I will say is that I agree totally with you, is that a lot of credit should be given to FSG, to Tom Ware and John Henry. I really do, honestly.
Yeah, it's well, they made Klopp sign, 2 extra years. So I'm not even thinking about him leaving. It's one of those where you're just like, my granddad, watched Shankly and everything, and he was telling me once Shankly's gone, that's it for Liverpool. I'd be like, what are you talking about, granddad? There's always going to be great managers. But with Klopp, you do feel like there's going to be a massive drop off. And, but I always think that Pep Linders will be ideal because he's worked under Klopp, for so long. And, but yeah, I'll probably just basically miss Klopp's character, his personality. Like you were saying in the press conferences as well, he says how he feels. He doesn't hold back.
Yeah. I agree totally with you. And but I will disagree with you. You said there'll always be great managers. That's not the case. Daz. But what I'll say to you is that all what these top people do is they leave the place they leave the club in a good place. Shankly left in a good place. You know what I mean? With Paisley, Joe Fagan running with son, Ruben Bennett, people like that. And I'm hoping that you can do the same thing when he decides that the time is right for him to move on. But listen, as I said before, let's not talk about that now, eh? Yeah. Let's talk about the positivity. To win more things next year, because what they've done, they've left it on the table to go on. So close to winning this year, the quadruple. That's still there for them all to go and do if they want.
Agree, mate. Yeah, I mean, again, one of the best teams I've ever seen, and I've seen some teams. Obviously yourself. 70s and 80s was some of the best football I've ever watched in my entire life. But then this team has blown me away. Mentality monsters, yes. Just creative. The sky's the limit. I loved what Klopp did at the end of the European Cup final when he kept the players on the pitch to watch Madrid go and lift it. That's what you want. That's when you're going to go, I want to do that next season. And same with the league as well. I think this team's just hasn't reached its peak yet. It just hasn't. And I cannot wait. I'm already counting down the days for next season. A football calendar. It's like an advent calendar. I'm just opening every single day going, closer. Yeah, I cannot wait.
Hey,
I agree.
I wanted to ask a question, Sammy, because since the fixture start so much earlier this year, right, because of the World Cup, how does that change the preparation for the players, and also do you think it's going to have a major impact on the quality going into next season, because there's a shorter holiday, obviously, less training, but then you're just trying to pack so many games in before November?
Well, sadly, Steve, I think it'll have a massive impact. I really do. I do, because at the end of the day, when these guys that we talked about before, coaches, players, and staff, when they have such a level of intensity over such a period of time, one thing they'll all say is that they need a bit of R&R. They need some rest and recovery, not just physically, but psychologically, mentally as well. And I think that the timing of this World Cup, I think it's a disaster for our league. And I think I heard Kevin De Bruyne say, to be honest here, even this this Nations League that they're playing in now is that, it exposed them to more risk of injury. And I think if we want to see the best players give us the best product, then they need to have the relevant, the decent recovery time. And again, I repeat, not just in terms of physicality, but psychologically as well. And I think, sadly, it will have an effect on the season ahead. I really do, because it's a shorter lead-in time. It's obviously been a shorter close. Some of them haven't even finished. They're playing international football as we speak, and that's always been an issue for the top ones, because for well be playing international tournaments after the season finishes. But we've now got a scenario where we've just had a massive season. The recovery is shorter. The lead-in is shorter. They're going to break down and have a World Cup starting, I think, in November. And I just tend to think it's going to be I think it will have a detrimental effect on the health and safety of the players. I really do. But again, I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong on many occasions, and I hope I'm wrong on this one, because one thing that we should all be concerned for is that the safety of everybody is paramount, whether it be players, whether it be supporters, like we seen last week in Paris. Safety is paramount to everybody.
Agreed.
Yeah. Sammy, it's been such an honor to speak to you. And I know Daza, growing up in Liverpool and watching you play, it's been special for him. And, but I would be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to Ken Solomon, who helped facilitate the show today. Ken is a previous guest of our show. He's a supporter of our show, and he runs Quest Sports Travels for any of you American-based listeners that want to go to Liverpool and haven't been there before, or even if you have been, you want to have a quality time, and reach out to Ken and Quest Sports Travel, and he'll make sure that your visit is exemplary and something that you'll always remember. So we appreciate Ken's efforts, and and Sammy, we really are so happy that you're able to spend time with us today.
Now, folks, I'd like to thank you all seriously for taking the time, because I'm sure you got better things to do on a Sunday evening than listen to me, albeit in staccato with the bad communication. So forgive me for that. But I agree with you. It's down to Ken that I'm on this podcast today. And really, chaps, folks, it's been my pleasure. The pleasure has all been mine. I apologize for the poor communication, the poor IT, whichever it may be. But it's been my pleasure, it really has. And all I would say to you, to be able to reach out to you, supporters, Liverpool supporters all over the globe, particularly in America, I think, wow, keep on, because there's bigger and better to come from this football club, believe you me. And I repeat what I said earlier on in the conversation. You guys have a massive part to play in any future success of this football club, believe you me. Because I tell you seriously and sincerely, I know full well that the support that you guys give is fully appreciated by Jurgen, all the staff and all the players. And please keep that, because don't forget, and again, it's our anthem, I know, but we know that with you guys behind us, you never walk alone. You really don't.
Sammy, we just had our our season end party on Friday night, and we had over 250 people attend from the Liverpool Supporters Club here in Austin, that I'm the president of. And it's just, you can just feel the energy, and no one was disappointed that we didn't win the Champions League. We're there to support the team, and I'm just going to continue partying until July 30th.
well, I'll join you. If you don't mind. Okay, chaps. Right.
And Sammy, I just want to say thank you for being a part of Liverpool Football Club, but also being a part of my childhood. I was one of the lads on the street kicking the ball, just pretending to be Liverpool football players. So for me to have a chat with you is just amazing. I love Zoom now because I've gotten to basically interview
all your heroes
all my heroes, and you're another one that's ticked off the list, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Oh, likewise. As I said before, chaps, the pleasure and the honor is all mine. Seriously. So thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
And Sammy, as the president of the Supporters Club here, whenever you're ready to come over across the pond and enjoy, give us some time as one of our legends that we host. We've hosted a lot of your contemporaries: Gillespie, Barnes, Whelan,
Nickel.
Faircloth, Nickel. So you got to join them.
Without a doubt, it'd be a pleasure. It would be a pleasure. Yeah, I don't listen. I don't play golf, mate. I'm too small to play golf. I've never been able to play golf. I tell you so. But it'd be a pleasure. It'd be a pleasure. I'll be a caddy. I'll caddy for you. Don't worry about that. Please, thank you very much indeed.
All right, Sammy.
Thank
We're
you.
going to work on getting you over here. Everybody would love to meet you.
It'd be a pleasure. It won't take that much work. Don't worry about that. But thank you very much indeed.
We're working on it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Stay safe, eh? Stay safe.
Cheers.
Thank you.
What's happening, Reds? Jamie Webster here. Just wanted to say, subscribe below. Thank you very much.